The city of Lagos had never seen a woman like Lara Adebimpe. Her beauty was the kind that stopped conversations, made cars slow down on the road, and caused young women to sigh with secret jealousy. At 25, she lived the life many could only dream of. Her mansion stood proudly inside the most expensive estate in Lekki. Every day, expensive cars lined up in front of her gate. Married chiefs, single businessmen, rich players, politicians. They all came with gifts. Gold necklaces, designer bags, perfumes that cost more than a teacher's yearly salary. Some invited her to lunch at luxurious restaurants. Others booked hotel suites just to watch her beautiful face. Lara never repeated a dress. Her wardrobe was filled with colours, glitter, and fabrics from Paris, Milan, and Dubai. Her wigs changed daily, long curls today, bone straight tomorrow, blonde the next morning. But her most prized possession was her makeup table. It was the first thing anyone noticed when they entered her room. The table looked like a mini shop, hundreds of foundations lined up, powders arranged by shade, lipsticks in perfect rows, brushes in tall golden cups. She never stayed without makeup. Not to sleep, not to shower, not even when she was sick. None of the house helps had ever seen her real face. Anytime someone asked, she smiled beautifully and changed the topic. To outsiders, she was the perfect woman, but inside the mansion, strange things lived in the shadows. The newest house help, Said, felt it first. 3 weeks after joining the household, Said began to notice unusual things. Lara always locked her bedroom door at night. But sometimes, Said heard whispering through the walls, deep, heavy whispers that didn't sound like Lara's voice at all. Some nights, there were soft growls, like an animal trapped behind the door. Whenever Said mentioned it indirectly, the older house helps shook their heads and warned her to mind her business. "Madam does not like people near her room," the cook whispered one morning. "And whatever you think you hear, forget it." But Said was naturally curious. One night, while mopping the corridor, she heard something that froze her blood. Lara was crying, softly at first, then with a shaking voice. Said had never heard her cry before. She was about to knock when a second voice answered from inside the room, a voice that did not belong to a human. Said dropped the mop and stepped back. Her heart pounded. The crying suddenly stopped. The deep voice faded like smoke. And then, silence. The next morning, Lara acted like nothing happened. She wore red lipstick, a glittering gown, and stepped out with her usual perfect smile. But Said couldn't forget what she heard. That evening, as Lara walked past her in a cloud of perfume and elegance, Saida felt her stomach tighten. Something about Lara was wrong, terribly wrong, and whatever it was, she had to find out. The cracks in Lara's perfect world were beginning to show, and Said was about to uncover a secret that would shake all of Lagos. Long before the mansion, the riches, the designers, and the long lines of admirers, Lara Adebimpe had lived a very different life. A life she buried so deeply that not even her closest friends remembered the truth. Back then, she was simply Lara Olafin, an ordinary girl living in a small house in Abeokuta with her mother. People rarely noticed her. Her friends, Abeni, Dupe, and Tola, were the kind of girls men chased everywhere. They were beautiful, tall, and flawless. Whenever the group walked together, men greeted the others with smiles and compliments but barely looked at Lara. It hurt her deeply. She pretended she didn't mind, but each evening she cried quietly into her pillow. She wished, prayed, and begged for beauty. She wanted men to look at her the way they looked at her friends. She wanted the world to see her. One evening, something happened that changed everything. Her friends were invited to a party by some rich boys. Lara followed them, hoping to have fun too. But when they arrived, the boys laughed loudly at her cheap dress and plain face. One whispered, "Why did you bring her? She looks like someone's tired house girl." Another added, She's too ordinary. My joy just died. Her friends didn't defend her. That night, Lara walked home alone, tears blurring her vision. She swore she would never be invisible again. A week later, an old woman selling herbs outside the market stopped her and said something strange. "Your heart is crying," the woman murmured. "If you truly want beauty, the forest will answer you." Lara frowned. "What forest?" The woman pointed to the thick woods beyond the hills. "The tree of dark requests." Lara laughed at first, thinking the woman was mad. But that night, her desire for beauty grew stronger than her fear. The next morning, before sunrise, she left home without telling anyone. She walked for hours through dusty paths, thick bushes, and narrow trails until she stood before the forest. Strange birds cried in the distance. Still, she entered. As she walked deeper, she felt something watching her. The wind whispered her name. Her breath quickened, but she didn't stop. The deeper she went, the darker it became. Finally, she reached a clearing. At the center stood the biggest, oldest, and most terrifying tree she had ever seen. Its trunk was wide and cracked, its branches stretched like the arms of a giant spirit. The ground around it was dry. Nothing grew near it. A cold voice rose from the tree. "Why have you come?" Lara trembled. I want beauty, beauty that no one can ignore." The tree laughed, a low, shaking sound that made her knees weaken. "You shall have it," it said, "but beauty comes with a price." She swallowed. "What price?" The tree's voice deepened. "Your outer form will shine like the sun. Men will worship your face. Women will envy your body. But beneath the makeup, beneath the glamour, your true self will rot. You will become a creature of the shadows, a beast, and only a mirror will reveal who you truly are." Lara's heart pounded. "Still," she whispered, "I accept." Light burst from the tree. The ground shook. A wind wrapped around her like a storm, lifting her off her feet. When she opened her eyes, she felt different, glowing, transformed, powerful. The tree whispered one more warning. "If anyone ever exposes your true face, your beauty will die forever." Lara didn't care. She had gotten what she wanted. But now, years later in Lagos, the curse was waking again. And Said was getting too close. Said could not sleep. Every night the sounds from Lara's room echoed in her mind. The crying, the strange voice, the heavy silence afterward. She tried to convince herself it was nothing. Maybe Lara talked to herself. Maybe she had a visitor. Maybe it was stress. But something inside her knew the truth was deeper, darker. Working in Lara's mansion was supposed to be a blessing, but now it felt like a trap. The house was too quiet at night, too cold, too filled with secrets. Even the other workers avoided Lara's hallway, acting like something invisible lived there. One morning, everything changed. Lara stepped out of her room later than usual. She looked irritated, rushing toward the living room to meet a wealthy chief who had come with gifts. In her hurry, she forgot to lock her bedroom door properly. Said noticed it immediately. Her heart began to race. She stood in the corridor, staring at the half-opened door. Something was drawing her in, a strange force, a soft humming sound, almost like whispering wind. Before she could stop herself, her feet moved. She pushed the door gently. The room smelled of expensive perfume, mixed with something faint, something rotten underneath. The curtains were drawn, and only a small lamp glowed on the makeup table. Foundations, powders, lipsticks, hundreds of them, were scattered everywhere. But one thing stood out: the mirror. A huge mirror stood in front of Lara's bed. It looked ancient, heavy, almost alive. When Said stepped closer, a cold wave washed over her body. She stretched her hand toward the mirror. Her fingers touched it. Instantly, she felt a pulse beneath the glass, like a heartbeat. She jumped back in fear. Before she could think, she heard footsteps. Lara was returning. Sade ran out of the room, her breath fast and shaky. She made it to the living room before Lara arrived at the hallway, pretending to be dusting a shelf. When Lara passed by, Sade felt her perfume, warm and sweet. But beneath it, she sensed something sour, something old, something wrong. Sade was cleaning the dining area when she finally saw it. The reflection. She bent to wipe the bottom of the mirror, and as she rose, she saw Lara behind her, or at least she thought it was Lara. The figure was wearing the same gown, the same wig, the same jewelry, but the face in the mirror was not human. Dark grey skin stretched tightly, sharp teeth pressed against cracked lips, eyes glowing like dying embers. Horn-like marks rose from the forehead. It looked like an animal that had been forced into human shape. Sade froze. Her heart stopped. Slowly, she turned around. Lara stood there, perfect, glowing, unbelievably beautiful. Her makeup flawless, her smile dazzling. Not even a strand of her wig was out of place. The creature in the mirror was gone. Lara tilted her head. "Sade, are you okay? Why do you look frightened?" Sade forced a shaky smile. I'm fine, Ma." But Lara kept staring, her eyes sharp, like she was searching Sade's soul. That night, Sade cried silently on her bed. She knew what she saw. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't shadow. It wasn't a mistake. Lara Adebimpe, the woman Lagos worshipped, was not who she appeared to be. Sade realized something else too. Lara knew she had seen something, and that meant danger. The mansion no longer felt like a workplace. It felt like a predator's den, and Sade might be the next target. After that night, Sade lived like a prisoner inside Lara's mansion. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow made her heart beat faster. She avoided Lara as much as possible, but Lara suddenly became unusually friendly. She asked Sade questions, offered her gifts, even asked her to help pick outfits, things she never did before. To anyone else it looked like kindness, but to Sade, it felt like a trap. Lara's eyes followed her too closely. Her smile lingered too long. Sade began to fear that Lara already suspected she had seen her monstrous reflection. When Lara went out to meet a wealthy admirer, Sade sneaked into her room again. Her hands shook as she touched the mirror. She placed a small camera, borrowed from another house help, on the table facing the mirror. Then she waited. When Lara returned, Sade hid nearby, pretending to sweep the hallway. Lara entered her room, humming softly. She removed her wig, placed it on the table, and then walked toward the mirror. The camera blinked red. It was recording. As Lara touched her face, the transformation began. The makeup started to melt like candle wax. The perfect eyebrows dissolved. The smooth skin twisted, wrinkled, cracked. Her lips shriveled. Her jaw stretched unnaturally. Her eyes shifted from brown to burning yellow. Within seconds, the beautiful woman Lagos adored turned into the creature Sade had seen, the beast from the forbidden forest. Lara let out a low, painful growl. Sade's legs nearly gave way. She grabbed the camera quietly and ran out before Lara noticed. Her breath was uneven, her heart loud in her ears. That night, she gathered the other house helps, Kemi, Ireti, and Bisi. They were afraid at first, but when Sade played the video, the entire room fell silent. Kemi covered her mouth. Ireti began to shake. Bisi almost fainted. This is our madam," Kemi whispered. "Yes," Sade said, "and we must show the world." Word spread faster than wildfire. The security guards told their families. The house helps told their neighbours. Before noon, the entire estate buzzed with curiosity and fear. By evening, several of Lara's admirers, rich men, chiefs, business owners, gathered in her compound demanding answers. They wanted to see the proof themselves. The atmosphere grew tense. Lara stepped out gracefully, pretending nothing was wrong. She laughed, sweet and confident. What rumor is this? What nonsense video are you talking about? Then Sade stepped forward. She held up the mirror. Madam, she said, her voice trembling. Look. Lara froze. No. The mirror shook violently in Sade's hands. A cold wind rushed across the compound. Everyone stepped back. Then the mirror cracked. Once, twice, and finally, it shattered completely, exploding into tiny pieces that scattered like falling stars. But before the glass hit the ground, every person present already saw it. Lara's true face reflected in the mirror. The beastly form, the yellow eyes, the twisted mouth. People screamed, men ran, chiefs fell to their knees, neighbors shouted, Oguno! Witch! Monster! Lara tried to run, but her beauty melted like ash. Her wig fell off, her skin rippled. The curse revealed itself fully. That night, the estate elders gathered and passed judgment. Lara Adebimpe was banished from Lagos. With her beauty gone and her secret exposed, she wandered back to the forbidden forest, crying, begging the ancient tree to restore her old self. But the tree only laughed. You were warned, it whispered. Then its roots wrapped around her feet, pulling her slowly into the earth until her screams faded forever. And so ended the story of Lara, the woman who traded her soul for beauty.